This video is proudly sponsored by Gamersgate. Download games anytime, anywhere. Visit Gamersgate.com.
Welcome to Elder Geeks Elder Speak. Today is Monday, July 23rd, 2012. My name is Randy Asenchak, editor of ElderGeek.com. In the background today, you're actually going to be seeing gameplay footage from Batman Arkham City. I felt it was appropriate because I brought on the show with me Phil and Steve, who are normally with me on the Game Club podcast. We're actually going to be talking about The Dark Knight Rises today. And just kind of as a heads up, if you have not seen The Dark Knight Rises, and you want this to be a spoiler-free experience for you, stop this video right now because we're probably going to be spoiling the hell out of it. We have a lot that we kind of want to talk about, and we want to be a little bit free to speak about it. So if you've seen the movie, please stick around and hang out, and I hope you enjoy the conversation. But otherwise, if you want to save The Dark Knight Rises for yourself, then by all means, stop this video right now. But
and don't look at YouTube comments, because YouTube comments probably...
This is true. That's true. By the way, Phil and Steve, welcome to the show, guys.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Good to be here.
Absolutely. I'm always happy to be on your shows. This is nice and a little bit of an odd turn of events for you guys to be actually on my show.
Well, yes. Like I've said before, I like to think of it as our show.
This is true, but you guys actually spearhead it. You guys actually put it all together. I'm just kind of like, okay, I'll play a game and talk about games. Why not? But The Dark Knight Rises, you guys actually all saw it this weekend, right?
I just saw it literally, like, I got out of the theater about 3 hours ago.
Nice.
So it's pretty fresh in my mind.
I went to go see it actually yesterday with my wife. It was actually our first time getting out of the house since, we had the baby, so it was kind of this nice getting the hell out of the house experience. And after we watched it, we actually talked about it for like the rest of our date, and we both kind of came to the same conclusion. And I wanted to see what conclusion you kind of came to at the end of The Dark Knight Rises. In the end, I liked The Dark Knight Rises. I thought it was a good movie. I just didn't think it felt I feel like it didn't live up to the previous two in the series.
This makes me sad.
Okay, but that's why I brought you on the show. I knew because I was reading your Twitter messages, and you were like, "I want to be watching it again right now." And
I did,
and I was like, "Oh, I got to talk to him about this because we are clearly going to be at conflict here." What? Tell me what you.
Well, Steve, I think based on the tweets you sent me, you seem to be on the same level as me. I mean, you sent me a man crying.
Yeah, I sent you the manly tears gif of the guy.
Yeah, because I mean there were man tears. I mean there.
So tell me why you guys loved it so much. Like, well, I'm not saying I hated it, but tell me what you really loved about it.
Well, tell me. I want to know what you didn't like about it first.
I'll try to be as general as I can. I feel like this wasn't as Batman-y of an experience as the other Batman movies. I mean, there were a lot of little things that I kind of disliked about it, and I think they added up to this didn't live up to the other two, or at least especially the second one, which we actually just watched again today, and we realized.
And you still feel that way?
Yeah, I still do. The first 30 minutes of the second one, I feel is a much more complete Batman experience than this one. I feel like The Dark Knight Rises, most of the movie, Batman isn't really Batman. He's not doing Batman-y things. He's not acting stealthy. I thought that,
well, he's a different Batman. He's a different Batman.
I think that this movie is definitely more. It's more of a Bruce Wayne movie than a Batman movie. It's more of a character piece on Bruce Wayne than it's the least. I agree with what you're saying, Randy. I totally I see what you're saying completely. This is the least of like a superhero type Batman movie of the three. But at the same time, it kind of wraps up so much stuff that I really appreciated all the stuff about Bruce Wayne. And I guess that's what I really actually, for me, I enjoyed that in the movie.
I get that, and I understand why they would need to kind of do that from time to time. But they had already established the Bruce Wayne movie with the original Batman movie in this trilogy.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think they needed to kind of go back to it. I also thought there was a few other things that were kind of off about the film. One, Batman's costume, his current costume, does not do him justice in the daylight at all.
A lot of people say that, but I don't know. I think I just like him so much I don't care. I don't know.
I just this actually leads to the other thing. The fight sequences also in this one, I thought they were terrible. The fights between Batman and Bane, I thought they were so slow, and I was like, oh, yep, here we go.
I like them. Like,
yeah.
I thought the scene where Bane like destroys Batman. I leaned over towards the end of that scene to my wife, and I was like, this is freaking amazing. Like, I was so into that scene. Like, I don't know, all the hits, like...
There was one...
It's very...
Go ahead, Phil.
Go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say, like, they're very, like, they're like simple fights, you know? They're just, like, there's a lot of fists. They're not, like, these crazy choreographed sequences, like, you know, like a Spider-Man or the Avengers or anything like that. They're just, you know, they're just, like, fights, like, walk like a brawl, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, as many brawls as Batman kind of gets in, like I said, there wasn't enough Batman-y kind of experiences to kind of lead to just a standard brawl.
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second. Yeah.
Oh, I was saying, like, I get, like, Batman is a brawler, you know, from time to time, but he was hardly stealthy at all. He was hardly doing anything really Batman-y up until that point, you know? He just kind of walked into the sewer and was like, "You're Bane, I'm here, I'm gonna kick your ass," kind of thing.
Well, because he was, like, again, he's in a very, I think at this point he's in a very different mindset. He wasn't really about being stealthy. Like, you know, when he first decides, all right, I'm being Batman, and Alfred gets pissed at him.
Yeah.
Afterward, and then they break up, and there were man tears there too. But
yeah, that's true.
You know, he comes back and Alfred's like, you know, way to go, you're all over the news. You had the entire police force chasing you down the road, and Batman's like, yup, I don't give a shit. Like, he had a very different attitude about him. I don't really think
This is gonna hurt.
I don't really think he gave a shit to being stealthy in this movie at all.
Okay, all right, but I'll go down the rest of my little laundry list of complaints. Then I'll actually say what I liked about it.
There was one part in the fight, the second fight between Batman and Bane, the one that I guess it was at City Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or the courthouse, whatever that place was. There was just this one sequence when Bane gets Batman up against a post or a pillar
and he
of the
punches
building.
right through that pillar. I like
right
that.
Before he punches through the pillar, just the way they shot it, I don't know if they kind of sped it up a little bit, but he just gets in a handful of hooks on Batman, like left, right, and just they sped it up a little bit, I think, to make it look like he was like superhuman when he was hitting him, and it was just.
I think they even digitally enhanced like his hands kind of flying real fast, almost in like a Matrixy effect.
Yeah, it was like that.
You didn't like that, Steve?
I loved it. I loved it.
I was gonna say, yeah.
That I like.
I kind of jumped in my seat a little bit when that happened. I was that got me pumped up. That was just awesome.
Because he's like breaking his mask and he's getting pissed off.
Yeah, it was just a great Bane moment of how he is and just that brutal, just kind of like pounding on each other. You know, it was.
See, and that was I think when they finally really showed Bane in almost like his core character as he is in the DC comics.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bane is a really complicated character in terms of like the Batman villains go, you know, in the movies have kind of, and even the cartoon has always just kind of shown him as just a Mexican wrestler who was just juiced up on venom, you know. But in reality, he's a lot more complicated character than that. But yeah, I don't know. Other things I really didn't like about the film, I thought Bane's voice was just shit. It was terrible.
Here's the thing with Bane's voice. I love his voice, but I just wish there was. I would say I understood him 75% of the time.
Really? That little? Like, it should be 100% of the time.
Right, it should be 100% of the time. And it's kind of funny when you have, like, Batman and Bane talking to each other because they both got these crazy voices. But I don't know, like, to me, I loved it. Because I love the Batman voice.
I loved when, at the end, when he got on him and he was just like, he was yelling.
Where's the trigger?
Yeah,
where's the trigger?
I was like, God, I hope that we get a "Where is the something" at some point in this movie. And then when we got it, I was like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, because he was pretty subdued. His Batman-ness. I feel like they scale like in the second movie. I think they ran some kind of like filter on his voice to make it even like more
even
like
scarier, deeper,
scarier.
raspier.
Yeah, and I feel like because everybody made fun of it so bad, I think. To me, he seemed like he's a little scaled back more towards how he sounded in the first one.
Yeah.
So I was kind of sad that he didn't have that moment, but then he gave it to us at the end, and yeah, I loved it.
Another quick just. The movie was kind of like with the voice. It was a little self-aware of kind of I think some of the parody because I did like the one little joke when Catwoman when he's talking to her and he turns around and then she's gone and he's like, oh, that's what that
Yeah.
feels like. I thought that was a pretty. I mean, it was like an obviously like a joke and it was a little yucky, but I mean, at the same time, it was just great because obviously they knew all the parody videos and stuff that have been made of it with him doing the thing where he's sneaking away from Commissioner Gordon.
Right.
I thought
There was another good kind of a yuck kind of moment when Joseph Gordon-Levitt says, what'd you expect me to find in the sewers, a giant croc? And I thought that was really funny.
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was good.
What did you guys think of him?
He was really good.
Yeah.
He really,
I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, he was kind of like the heart and soul of the whole movie, I thought.
Right.
And then the revelation at the end, I mean, was
Which is great too, because I was gonna lean over to Demi like seriously 5 minutes before they said that the Robin name, they dropped the Robin name. I was gonna say they basically like snuck Robin into this movie without actually calling him Robin.
Right.
And then they did, and I was like, oh okay, that's cool. At least that
See, the whole time I didn't know if they were going to be making him, if they were going to do him as Robin, if they were going to do him as Azrael, or if they're going to do him as like Nightwing. I had no idea. I knew he was going to be one of those three guys.
Yeah. Well, that's the scene when Batman shows up and bails him out, and he makes the comment about the mask, and he's like, I'm not afraid.
Right.
I'm not afraid to have people see my face or whatever. And he's like, well, the mask isn't for your protection; it's for the people you care about.
Right.
And at that moment, I was like, I wonder, is this like, is he Nightwing? Like, is that where they're going to go with him or something?
Yeah.
And then I forgot about it, and then at the end, during the kind of epilogue sequence, then I was like, oh shit, nice. All right.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I
like
wish,
that he
you know what, my final thing, he turns out to be Robin, because obviously we're not really caring about spoilers in this. Hopefully everybody has stopped by now who didn't want to spoil it. I was hoping to see like a hero suit up of Robin at the end. I mean, knowing that he was Robin, I would have loved to have seen him like with the Robin symbol on
But
his
here's the
chest.
thing. I mean, they called him Robin, but I feel like he will be Batman. He will not be Robin.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I mean, he gets the Batcave. Bruce gives him the Batcave in the will. And yeah, he's just gonna go suit up and be Batman, because that movie basically is, the whole point of Batman that is established in all these movies is that Batman is not Bruce Wayne. He's like a symbol.
Right.
So I feel like, he wouldn't create his own persona. He would just be Batman, because that's who the city relies on. So I would not think that he would become a different
Right, and that would lend itself
character.
That would lend itself to the recent series that Grant Morrison's been doing, where Dick Grayson actually is Batman.
I heard about that. See, I don't really follow any of the comics.
If you want to check out some series, you can pick them up in hardback, like volumes. I think it's up to like the 4th volume. There's maybe 4 or 5 of them. Check them out. They're really, really good. Really well written. There's a whole story where Bruce Wayne's son is Robin, and then Dick Grayson is Batman. Bruce Wayne has disappeared. No one knows where he is. He's presumed dead. He's been gone for a while, and so Dick Grayson takes up the mantle as Batman, and that's kind of what I felt like this was maybe a nod to a little bit, or it was kind of alluding to. Yeah, really good series, really good. I definitely recommend that if you're into Batman stuff.
The only thing I didn't like with Blake, let's not call him Robin, with Blake is, like, he rolls up to Bruce's house in the beginning of the movie, and he's like, "What's up, dude? You're Batman." And then Bruce is like,
yeah, that's
"Really?
true.
Why
Dude,
am I
I know.
Batman?" And then he's like, you had the look in your eyes. I had that look too. So I just knew you were Batman. And he goes, "You got me. I'm Batman." Like, all right. Like, I mean, I guess Bruce didn't give a shit at that point, but I feel like how he knew Bruce was Batman was pretty weak. But oh well.
Well,
Yeah, but it worked.
He
For,
kind of
like to
could've
kind of
bluffed him.
progress the story. It was okay, I thought.
Yeah.
Right.
But kind of backtracking a little bit. As far, like I said, Bane's voice just sounded like somebody was like, "Quick, do a really shitty impersonation of Sean Connery as Darth Vader, and that will be our Bane."
A lot of people
Dude.
on Twitter have been saying that Bane sounds like Deckard Cain from Diablo, which is,
You know what he
which is
kind
pretty
of
funny.
does? Stay a while and listen.
Yeah, you can't help but hear that voice because unfortunately I read those comments before I saw the movie. So then as I'm watching it, I'm like, yep, Deckard Cain, there he is.
See, I didn't read that when we first went to go see it, and you hear Bane talking, and I'm like, who is this d-bag? And then when they take off his mask and it's him talking, I'm like, no, come on.
I loved it, dude. No, because all right. I had some drinks last night with my family, and I probably talked like Bane for half of the night. So I loved it. Like I feel like that is gonna be a pretty like iconic voice from now on.
Here's what else I didn't like about.
Come on,
Bane.
you didn't love his voice during his speech. His speech was amazing.
No.
No, my God,
I did
his
it.
speech was amazing.
I think it's because maybe it was because I really loved the Joker in the second one, because the Joker was this, he was really calculating and he was really precise in his insanity, whereas like Bane just felt like, oh, I have all of these followers and I'm just gonna go around and I'm gonna cause havoc kind of thing, and I'm gonna do it by sheer force. And that was the funny thing. Bane's sheer force came about through his army and not so much through his physicality. Like it wasn't until like he showed off his sheer force until he like breaks Batman's back and then like that final fight sequence. You know what I mean? Like Bane is almost like a Hulk, but like a smart Hulk kind of thing.
Yeah, and I feel like he was. You didn't think he was smart? I felt like he was very smart.
No, I didn't. I think that here's what I really disliked about it. I realized that he is supposed to be a representative of the League of Shadows, also, gigantic, spoiler there, or the League of Assassins, but like he was too much of the character of Ra's or Ra's al Ghul and not Bane, and that's what really drove me crazy.
Well, see, I guess you know lots about Batman to begin with, so you have this, my knowledge of Batman is like cartoon and the movies and, whatever I play in video games or whatever. Like, I never read any of the Batman comics, so, my last image of Bane is from Batman and Robin, where he's walking around going, bum, awful movie, Yeah. So that's my last thing of Bane, and I don't really.
That's setting the bar pretty goddamn low.
Right.
Yeah, that's like the lowest of the low for Bane.
And all I know about Bane is that he breaks Batman's back, and in the movie he broke Batman's back, and well, he didn't really break his back. He gave him a slip disc, but.
Dude, they actually said your vertebra is sticking out of your skin.
No, they said your vertebrae sticking out. They didn't say out of his skin.
Okay,
yeah, he just said he had a slip disc, and he punched it back at him.
Okay, all right. I'll go off on about the slip disc. Freaking Commissioner Gordon is out for half of the movie because he's shot in the leg. Like he's out in the ICU,
was great, though,
and then freaking Christian Bale's out for 5 minutes because he has a freaking dislocated vertebra.
Well, you're looking at. I mean, there are different time periods that you're looking at there. Commissioner Gordon was out for half of the movie before the city blew up, which was probably like, a week of time, a week chunk. But then Bruce is out of commission for like 5 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the points in time here. But which I also love. Like I loved the scope and the scale too. Like it was so cool that the bad guy actually won for a bit and took over an entire city for like half a year. There was like this city was just destroyed, and no one was messing with it. And I love the idea that the bad guy won for a while.
Yeah.
And then so it's just cool seeing that side of it. And then, when Batman comes back into town and is just whooping ass, and I just loved it, man. I just loved the scale and just. It was just awesome.
I'll toss out my final moment of I guess my final dislike about this movie, because I don't want people to think that I didn't like the movie, because I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie to see, and
you weren't just on the edge of your seat the whole time.
I don't think I was.
I was looking around, and there was a couple times where you could just tell nearly everybody in the theater was just enthralled with this movie. They were just eating it up. You could just kind of feel it almost.
Did you go I went during a matinee in a really kind of a dumpy movie theater, so I might have had a completely different audience.
Oh, that's true. I went opening night at a pretty popular theater.
Yeah.
A lot of people are at. It's a nice it's a nice location.
Yeah,
so.
that audience vibe actually does change the feel of the film while you're watching it. It's like watching a Star Wars movie when you're with a bunch of Star Wars fans versus with a bunch of old people who don't know what a Star Wars is. And in fact, they call it a Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you see the Star Wars? That was pretty good.
Here's my final beef about the movie, and then I'm gonna stop pooping on it. The Christopher Nolan Batman series. It's kind of funny, what the audience has to suspend disbelief about, and when you're watching a comic book movie, you have to think to yourself, all right, I'm gonna have to suspend a good amount of disbelief, while watching it, because it's about a guy running around in tighties beating up bad guys at nighttime, But the thing about the Christopher Nolan like trilogy, or I guess that's what you could call it, was like this was almost a technological disbelief that you had to put back. This Batman series put away and didn't focus at all on like the I don't want to call it the scientific, but almost like the meta-scientific or the metaphysical kind of aspects to it. So there's no mutant bad guys or anything like that. Mr. Freeze isn't around. The Penguin isn't around or anything like that. So what you have to like suspend disbelief on are like the gadgets that Batman actually has, and I don't know, the technological things that he's able to kind of accomplish. The Bat Jet or whatever you want to call it, the Bat in this, I thought was just, I don't know. It didn't feel like it was. I felt like it was out of place.
Every time it flew around, I was excited.
Really? Every time it flew around, I felt like I was watching Blade Runner.
I think they.
Well, I love Blade Runner.
I think they used it tastefully. I think it was kind of peppered throughout the movie, and it didn't feel like it was overdone. I think had they gone too far with it, I would have felt the same way. But yeah,
you thought that it was a good balance, though?
I thought so. Yeah, I also I thought it was awesome that like, I mean, we haven't really touched on the fact that the whole thing. It's Ra's al Ghul's daughter. She's kind of the puppet master of the movie, and so all these,
which I thought was good. I thought that was cool.
That was great because it kind of like when that happened, I was like, oh yeah, of course, yeah. Why was I thinking that Bane was Ra's al Ghul's son? Like I know that's not right at all. But but I was kind of just like the movie was leading me along, and I'm like, okay, I'll just go on this ride. And then when that was revealed, it was like everything added up in my head all of a sudden. But that also kind of lended itself to the whole like how they all they were tunneling underneath Wayne Enterprises, and then they got all the the prototype Batmobiles, and they had all that stuff. So his army was like armed with Batman's arsenal of stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was friggin' awesome. I love that.
See, I think that's where like that even ties into what I was saying about the whole like suspending disbelief of like they didn't even account for any of the metaphysical stuff. I felt like if they wanted to do Ra's al Ghul again, they could have, but they chose not to because they probably felt like the audience wouldn't have believed in like his resurrection chambers kind of things.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like that would have been too big of a leap, too big of a science fiction leap for too many of the viewers.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I get you. It doesn't bother me that much. I kind of like that Nolan chose to ground these three movies in a sort of reality. I don't mean to say that it's complete reality, but he definitely,
he makes them seem, he makes it feel believable. Like I feel like when you're looking at stuff, you're like, yeah, that could happen. Yeah, they could hijack a plane and make a plane fall in half and then escape out of it. Sure.
Yeah. I just wish that, I guess, even though Bane actually does at one point join the League of Shadows, in the comics and stuff, I wish that they didn't use him as the voice of Ra's al Ghul in this. I wish they had done almost any other of the Batman villains, because Bane's an awesome bad guy.
Well, he is, but I mean, ultimately, he's actually, he's the spokesperson for Raz's daughter, not for Raz himself, and he's really just kind of like a puppet in the whole thing, which is what you don't really know until the end. He's not the real bad guy.
Right.
He's just.
I almost wonder if they did this bit to be the Bane that was the polar opposite of the one from Batman and Robin.
Yeah, I mean, he's
like the two complete opposite ends of the world of Bane.
God, I just hate that movie so much.
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
I'll watch anytime it's on. I'll watch.
Really?
I worked in a video store when that came out, and we must have had that on like an endless loop for about 2 months. And I just despise that movie in so many ways.
But I will tell you what I really did love about the film. I as much as I didn't think I was going to like Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, I thought she was awesome. I thought she looked really good.
Totally agree. I was skeptical about her in that role, and I was skeptical about Catwoman in general, just being in the movie because of the track record thus far. But yeah,
I thought she nailed it.
Absolutely.
What do you mean for the track record thus far?
Because there was that Catwoman with
Michelle Pfeiffer was great though.
Michelle Pfeiffer was okay, but what was her name? Who actually was
the Halle Berry one?
Yeah,
that. But and you know what, Michelle Pfeiffer was good, but it was still it was much campier than
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I liked this portrayal of that character. It felt more like the Catwoman from The Dark Knight Returns and the classic comic Catwoman, or the classic from like the Frank Miller comics, the darker version.
So, Randy, I feel like you kind of didn't like Bane because you have
I had a
this
different
idea of what
preconceived
you want
notion
Bane
in
to
my
be.
head. Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think it was just because he didn't live up to my preconceived notion as to who and how Bane should act.
Right, which is where I don't have, like I said, my knowledge of Bane is I know he breaks Batman's back, and I know he said bomb a lot in Batman and Robin. So I loved him. I thought he was great.
If I were to give my opinion on him, was kind of similar in that I have a lot, like you guys, have a lot of kind of weird ideas of what Bane is supposed to be from the cartoons and the comics and video games and stuff. So I wasn't really sure how they were going to portray him, and I really ended up liking what they did. I felt like they made him just really scary and ominous and evil, really. I mean, he maybe he was too one-dimensional in that regard, as opposed to how he is in other mediums. But in this movie, for the tone, I felt like just making him. I mean, he had some scary shit going on. He was
a badass.
Yeah.
Just snapping necks and.
Yeah, when he had the one dude and he was like, "Do you feel in control now?" That was such a great line, and it was, and the other guy's like out leaves the room and he's like shitting his pants.
Yeah,
I thought it was kind of. I think the mask that they had Bane wear was really good and very scary, but it also did the actor a little bit of disservice because he can't really show that much range in his face. So to show that he was serious, he always did like his thumbs on his straps of his like bulletproof vest. Or it was either that or his hands were at his side. Like you really couldn't get much delivery from his face because he has a mask over the entire.
That was another thing I liked about his speech too, because like his eyeballs are just like bugging out of his head and his eyebrows are going nuts. Like you could tell he was really trying, but I think it worked good to me. I thought it was cool. I also liked how every time he walked, there was just like this thud that basically shook like the whole theater. Like the bass was just unbelievable. It was just like whenever he was walking up to Batman. It was awesome.
Yeah. I like I said, I didn't dislike the movie. I don't want anybody to get that idea. I just thought that I really think that the second one in this trilogy is the high point of it for me.
I would agree with that to a degree. Somewhat.
Yeah.
I think the second movie is definitely the kind of the pinnacle of the story, and with Heath Ledger's performance and everything as the Joker. But this is definitely the what's the not the crescendo, because that's going up. Whatever the going down is, that's what this is.
I don't remember
in a musical score. I feel like this is kind of the downtime from that story, but I loved it. I really loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
I have a hard time. I don't even know which one I like the best, to be honest. I was never like I loved the Dark Knight so much when it came out, but I loved Batman Begins. I was never one of those guys like that was so much better than the first one. I was always torn as to which one I liked more, and I still feel that way with this one. And now I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Just love them all.
Yeah,
love all three of them.
All three of them are very different movies too. I mean, and that's kind of one thing I liked about this also, just real quick, is that I feel like this movie stood on its own. For the third movie in a trilogy, I felt like it was very capable as a standalone movie. Like I feel like someone who didn't see the other two could probably sit down and watch this and enjoy it.
Oh, see, I thought the opposite. I thought that you'd be much better serviced if you actually had watched Batman Begins in the Dark Knight.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you'd get more out of it, like what the hell is Liam Neeson doing here all of a sudden, or
right, and what is actually Batman's role with Rachel? Like, you get it that he loves her and all that kind of crap, but like, how complicated is the relationship, kind of thing?
Well, yeah, but I feel like they addressed it enough in this movie where if you had not seen those other ones, you would understand that he had loved someone and lost them somehow. And even like little things like you wouldn't have picked up on when Crane shows up, the Scarecrow. His little appearance was pretty funny as the judge. Which pretty telling, having the craziest person in the city.
Right. I loved it.
Passing judgment on people.
The thing is, I was like waiting for him because he knew he was going to be in it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no way he wasn't going to be. I mean, he was in the last one, so there was no way he was going to skip the third one. Really, every villain was.
It's a shame. It's really, Joker. I mean, for all kinds of reasons, but I mean, Heath Ledger would have probably had a really awesome part in this movie had he not, passed away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. I think as a trilogy, I think they make an awesome superhero trilogy, and it'll be tough to find 3 equally quality films in a trilogy to like go together as like a superhero trilogy. You know what I mean? Because like even Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 was so terrible it kind of like brought down 1 and 2.
Oh, let's not go there.
Oh come on! It was so bad that they retooled
the
series like 5 years
no,
later.
That's not why they did that. They retold the series because Raimi. All right, I mean I don't want to get into this too much, but he was not happy with the direction that the third one went in because the studio executives kind of started taking control from him.
Oh, I'm sure. That's obvious.
which is so weird because I mean you would think after like 2 hugely successful movies they would just let him do whatever the hell he wanted. So it's weird that they would interfere. So anyway, when it came time for the 4th one, I mean everybody was silent. Toby was supposed to be in there still and Kirsten Dunst and all. But he was like taking his time because he was having like problems with the studio so he was starting to push back this time. And then basically what would happen was they needed to make a Spider-Man movie by a certain date, or else the rights were going to revert, and and then Disney Marvel would be able to do their own. So instead of fighting with him, they're just like, okay, see you later. We're just making a whole new Spider-Man.
Got ya.
So it was not a matter of nobody liked it. I mean, it was the biggest at that. I mean, it made more money than any other Spider-Man movie. So
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be sitting here laughing. Spider-Man 3 is just such a notoriously sore subject with Phil that like as soon as you said that, I was like, oh man, here we go.
So that's gonna be like the hot button from now on. Whenever we want Phil to just get mad,
or
whenever we want him to lose an argument, we just be like Spider-Man 3.
No, because I can defend it to the end. Listen, I'm not saying Spider-Man 3 is a masterpiece, but I think it's a very enjoyable movie, and I really like it. I don't think it's, I don't know. I don't want to get into it. I'm sure my opinion on Batman has just been completely discredited because I said I like Spider-Man 3, but whatever.
I was listening to this guy. I was siding with him because Randy was shitting on the movie, and then now he's defending Spider-Man 3.
A comparison between this trilogy of the Batman movies and the Spider-Man movies, and then them rebooting Spider-Man just a few years later, I think that they're going to have to take some serious time off before trying to make another Batman movie with new actors and a new.
No, they're not, man. It's coming. They already have a date. I think they already have a date for it.
Really?
Really?
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, it's coming. They already said they're moving on with without Chris Nolan. And now I mean I don't know if what they're probably going to do. I would imagine is whatever new Batman they come up with will probably coexist with this new Superman world, so that they can eventually probably
do
pull
crossovers.
A Marvel, right? Pull a Marvel and do their Justice League eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know if. Do they pick up where this one left off and Blake becomes Batman and we get this new story, or do we just get like a reboot?
I think it'll be a reboot.
I hope it's a reboot because I think that there's, like I said, it just kind of, I would love to see the characters like the Penguin and Mr. Freeze and Croc and stuff like that back into the series, and I think that I don't think they fit well in Christopher Nolan's Batman.
No, I agree. Right, I agree.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that makes these a bad Batman movie trilogy because, like I said, I think this is it'll be really hard to top this trilogy in terms of doing Batman justice.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for whoever has to step in and make a new Batman after this.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause I don't know. I mean, what do you do? The bar has been raised so high. It's one of those things. I mean, whoever makes this next, he can't win. This team just. The bar is set so high. I don't know. I don't know what they could possibly do, but I mean, I'll be there. I love watching the Batman movies. I'll watch them for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm not against them redoing it because like I said, they'll just keep redoing these for the rest of our lives.
I think if somebody had asked me to like give it a score, like to say like the buying or trying kind of thing, I would recommend people that if they were Batman fans and they were really anxious to see the movie, that they wouldn't be wasting their money to go to the movies to see it. But if they're a casual viewer where they're just like, yeah, all right, I could wait. I think those people can properly wait until it comes out on DVD/Blu-ray/ digital download. I don't think that there was nothing really visually about it that required it to be seen in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
My frown is so large.
scowling at his computer.
It's just
Wrong with this guy.
largest frown. It's just
But like I said, I think that it's. But you know what else though? There's nothing else in the movies right now. What else?
that's not true.
What
There's
else-
Spider-Man.
I've done enough training. I'm ready.
Did you
Okay.
see Spider-Man? Did you see Spider-Man?
No.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, the new
It's
Spider-Man was actually pretty
it's a
decent.
It's a good romantic comedy. I was doing it a slight injustice.
There you
but
go.
No, it's good. I think it's Spider-Man's worth watching.
Okay.
You liked it a lot, right, Steve?
I did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
but
it's
you
good.
guys, you think, but you, Phil, you would say that this is definitely a movie that you should go see in the theaters then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, for myself, I would say if you liked the other two Batman movies, then you've probably already seen this.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
And if not, if you're trying to like convince, I don't know, your girlfriend or a buddy or something that's not really into it. My friend that I saw it with, he is not like a huge Batman fan. He saw the other two movies, liked them, wasn't like crazy to see this, but he was like speechless walking out of the theater. So
Wow.
Really.
yeah, we
How about we got to touch on the ending here. I was mentally preparing myself for years now because it's been like 4 years since The Dark Knight. Mentally preparing myself for the death of Batman because I was just like, you know what? They're gonna kill him. They're gonna kill Batman. He's gonna die. What am I gonna? Here's another thing. You guys got to understand this. Like, I was talking to my boss at work about this of all things when we were talking about the subject of Lost, and like, I don't know, when people like us get into something, we just like love it. We have like this strange attachment. So like, if Batman really died at the end of this, I would be completely beside myself for like a week. Like, it just would. Like, I don't know, it's a sickness or something.
yeah. I
So
I probably would have been the same way.
I mean, I did it with Lost too. Here, major Lost spoiler if you're watching Lost. Skip the next minute.
Well, has Randy watched Lost?
Oh, Randy, I don't want to say it.
No. You
All right.
go ahead and.
No, I don't want to say. I don't want to say. You didn't watch it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
all
but
right,
besides,
don't
we gave-
skip.
We're doing spoilers for this
No,
show.
that's
We
all right.
shouldn't be
Yeah,
doing it
I'll
for
say.
others.
All right. I'll say for Lost, I mentally prepared myself for the worst, and it helped. So, I mentally prepared myself for the worst in this case, and then it happened, and I was like, oh my god, they just killed Batman. They just killed Batman, and I'm just like going nuts in my head. And then they showed the scene with Alfred when he's out. And, you know, he kind of gives the wink at the camera, and I thought they were just going to cut the black at that point, and I was going to be like, they can't just leave us. They can't just leave us hanging here. And then when they showed Bruce, you don't understand, like, I just felt so good afterwards.
They did, but I mean, for that period, they did kill Batman. Bruce.
Well, they turned him
Bruce
into a
killed
paraplegic.
Batman. What?
Right.
Well, no. I mean, Bruce killed Batman, got rid of him, so that he could then just go back to being Bruce Wayne. He finally,
Right.
that character reached
Right.
what he was striving for, and what the people in his life were pushing him towards is what he finally achieved in that last scene of the movie. Was that he was off with Selena in what was it, Florence,
Yeah.
in Italy, just hanging out in some bar or
they
restaurant.
Because they both did the data wipe on themselves, probably.
Yeah, and then they just kind of
Right.
went on with their lives together, and now he can, you know. I thought that was great closure. I mean, really,
Yeah.
that was the best. I don't think. I'm sure there's probably people out there who saw it who felt like, they copped out by not killing him and then having that last scene. But I felt like that was what the whole thing was about. It was always
Right.
all about Bruce. It was always all about
Right.
Bruce.
Him finding closure.
Yeah, it started with him as a young man and training and being angry and pissed off, and then dealing with, you know, someone who was completely insane and like kind of almost a product, someone who was feeding off of what he was doing, and that made him, you know, filled with conflict, and then what happened to Harvey, all the way to full circle
Right.
to this movie where he comes back, and then now he
Right,
finally
and-
understands the falling out he and Alfred have kind of makes him understand just how much,
Right.
you know, how wrong he's been, and how right Alfred's been through this whole thing, and I thought it was great.
Right. Right.
Sorry,
And I love that scene
sorry, I
too
just went off
because-
there.
No, that's all right. No, it's good, and I love that scene too because Alfred, through each of the movies, Alfred has taken like a slightly different stance on Batman, and I like how his view of Batman has changed through all the movies. In the first one, he's kind of supportive of Batman because he's like, you know, maybe this will be good for Bruce, and he kind of lets him go along with it. And then in the second one is when he's kind of like, well, you know, Batman can kind of be whatever he needs to be, and you don't have to be Batman, you know, like. you don't have to give it your all. Why don't you just go end up with, go with Rachel or whatever. So then he's starting to kind of waver in the second one. And then by the third one, he's just like, dude, no more Batman. Like this just can't go on anymore. And I just love, like, these 8 years have gone by where Bruce is just like this. Bruce and Gordon are just like these shells of like what they used to be. Gordon, obviously, the whole Two-Face fallout has completely ruined his family.
Did you guys find it weird? I'm sorry to like interrupt, but do you guys find it a little weird that they practically turned Harvey Dent into a saint to the point where they actually had like a national or a citywide holiday for him?
They had a Dent Day.
Yeah. I mean, come on, he was just a DEA agent, for crying out loud, I mean, or whatever the shit he was in the last. Last film.
That was a little weird, but I guess that was just there to kind of illustrate how far that lie had gone.
Got ya.
Right.
And how. Because when everyone found out that it was a lie, they all got so pissed off. I was kind of like, why are they so, But then I'm like, well, it's been 8 years, and they've been, having
celebrating.
parades
They've been
for this
buying
guy.
Dent dolls for their kids on Dentmas Eve morning.
Yeah,
right.
So I guess that was just there to kind of show just how far everyone had gone.
Right.
All right.
But I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean it was a little goofy at first, but
Yeah, for a public servant, for crying out loud, like there's presidents that we celebrate a lot less than that guy. Presidents who have done a lot more. But anyway.
Well, we could go on all night.
We could, but you know what? I do want to hit on some high points though before. So, like I said, I don't want people to think that I'm just crapping all over this film. But I did think that Christian Bale did his job as Batman really well. I thought he like brought the same level of professionalism as he did in the past ones, and I think he actually did better as his voice with Batman.
he toned it down a bit. Yeah,
he did tone it down a little bit. Tom Hardy, it's kind of hard to tell. The guy who played Bane, it's kind of hard to say whether he did an awesome job or a bad job, like I said, because he had the mask on. Anne Hathaway, I totally feel like they could have leaned a lot harder on her because she just nailed her role. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think he did a really good job. Michael Caine always does awesome. Gary Oldman, I think they could have used him more because he's an awesome actor.
Yeah, I agree, but I think he was in it enough. I thought he was great.
I felt like he was in the hospital too long. It was like, come on, get it back in the action.
Well, I think a lot of it was passing the baton to
Blake.
Yeah, to Blake.
Yeah.
To Robin.
Robin, yeah. And then Morgan Freeman, of course, is always really good. And then the woman, Marion Cotillard, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but the girl who plays Talia, she did okay.
Yeah, she was fine. She was good at kind of flying under the radar through the whole thing because even though my head should have been telling me Ra's al Ghul's daughter, she did a good enough job of kind of playing that role as kind of submissive and everything, so that when it was revealed, it was kind of like, oh, right, nice.
Yeah, see, I didn't guess her her actual identity towards the end. I just kept telling myself, like, yeah, she's going to betray them. No, maybe she's not going to betray them. Yeah, she's going to betray them for sure. Well, maybe not, So she did a pretty good job in that.
Yeah. I thought the whole cast was excellent. Even kind of the smaller actors, that were in it here and there, the extras at times. Someone who would have maybe one or two lines, I felt like it really just kind of
like Tom Lennon.
Like who?
Like Tom Lennon, the doctor. He's the
yeah. He was in I Love You Man with Paul Rudd.
yeah. Oh, he's in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I like that guy. But yeah, even like there was the one scene at the stock exchange, like the two guys sitting there getting their shoes shined, and their conversation just kind of like pushed things along. Just the way the movie's structured, it's rare where you'll like have like large chunks of plot kind of explained by two just random people, and then 30 seconds and you're on to the next set piece. I'm just really a big fan of the way he does movies, and I'm looking forward to whatever he puts out next.
Awesome.
And Bruce climbing out of the hole was amazing too. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yes.
Great scene.
I wish he didn't miss the second jump. I wish that he had made it on the second jump.
No, man, he had to fail, man.
He had to take the rope off because he kept saying, I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid to die. But if you're not afraid to die, take the rope off because then you're really not afraid to die.
I got to admit,
Right.
my feet got a little sweaty while watching that scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You know?
yeah. It was great, and the bats when the bats was such a nice touch because
Mm-hmm.
he's like already shitting his pants. He's got no rope. His biggest fear flies out of the wall.
Yep.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. Really good. But I guess, we could probably wrap it up out of the three of us. You two say definitely go see it in the theaters. I say you can probably wait, but it won't kill you if you do go see it in the theaters. And I think that's a pretty ringing endorsement from us at Elder Geek to go see the damn movie.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we all liked it, just to different degrees.
Yeah, different degrees and for different reasons. But
Right.
yeah, there you have it. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to send them to info@elder-geek.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, where else? Twitch TV. You can follow Phil on Twitter at Shamoozle?
Yeah.
Yeah, at Shamoozle. As Steve can follow you at Steve Wilkinson, and you can follow me at Randy Essentiak. Steve, did I get that right?
You got it. Yep.
Awesome.
Steve-
Awesome.
And we'll be recording Game Club Thursday too. We're playing Celestial Mechanica, so just do a little Google on that, and you can find it. If you want to leave comments or whatever, or if you've already played it, leave comments somewhere. We'll find them. We'll read them on the Game Club episode.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for paying attention. Thanks for tuning in. Let us know how much you agree with us or how much you think we're full of shit. You're probably going to think that I'm full of shit out of this one. And to everybody else,
You might be surprised.
might be. But to everybody else, we'll talk to you all tomorrow.